Well, who says Test cricket is dead? What an epic third Ashes Test match. We will discuss all the big talking points and look ahead to the fourth Test, all here on episode 25 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre Podcast. Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of the Kingsgrove Centre Podcast. Lots to talk about after the third Ashes Test match. Joining me today is Charlie Carter.
Hello, Stu.
And Hamish Solomons.
Good morning.
Good morning. And of course, in the corner, producer Nick, making sure this thing goes to air. Morning,
Yeah.
Nick.
Hey, good morning, guys. Not only is it exciting time for Test cricket, but gridiron football season is upon us, boys. And
Excellent.
Alabama destroyed Duke
Crimson
in their
Tide.
opening game, 42-3.
Can I just
Roll Tide. Roll Tide, everybody.
I'll add some appreciation in there that you said the word gridiron football to sort of differentiate it
I
between
have to
that
make
and
it
real
clear to
football.
our audience.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
No,
Here
anyway.
we go.
Anyway, let's not discuss.
Let's not dwell
Let's
on
not
that.
discuss the footballing terms. We've got other things to talk about. So, Australia managed to possibly lose the unlosable in the third Test, thanks to another Herculean performance from one Ben Stokes.
Well,
Possibly, and then maybe some questionable umpiring, which I'm sure we'll get to later on as well.
I'm sure we'll cover that. They said that Ben Stokes' innings in the World Cup final was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and he's done it twice in the space of about 6 weeks.
Is he-
Incredible.
Is he Jesus?
Ooh. Oh, wow. I don't know where to go with that, Stu.
I'm sure. Well, he's Sir Ben now, isn't he?
That last innings
yeah.
was not short of walking on water, really,
Yeah.
when you think about it, in the whole context of the game and the way he started his innings
Yeah.
and developed it. Then he brought out the heavy bat and just went berserk.
Just went berserk. So obviously, if we
I think there was a bit of divine intervention
run
here
through
and
it,
there
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. So obviously, Australia batted first. We made 179, and we thought, hang on, that's probably not going to be enough. Then England. Then we rolled England for 67, and we thought, well, hang on, that could be plenty. And then we maybe didn't make enough runs in the second innings.
Well, when it comes down to it, we talk about where it all went wrong. We point the fingers to what happened right at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But for me, like that first inning score wasn't good enough, and that's been our big issue.
Yeah.
And the Australian team is just not putting on those scores. You know, there's been a reliance on Steve Smith in the previous Test matches to score the runs for us. He was obviously not playing this game, and we were found wanting. Not enough runs.
As much as Ben Stokes has taken the limelight there for the result, it seems to have glossed over the fact that David Warner made a score at last.
Yep. 61.
Marnus Labuschagne is still scoring runs
Yeah.
in
Three half centuries in a row.
three half centuries in a row, which is level with Kevin Peterson in terms of a start to an Ashes career.
If we want to be slightly critical, one of those probably needed to be 100, didn't it?
Well, with hindsight, absolutely. It should have been. And let's not forget that.
And Warner as well. He got to 61.
Yeah.
You need to if you get that start, especially for someone like David, who's a experienced campaigner.
should be going on.
Yeah.
And obviously don't forget that Josh Hazlewood took match figures of 9 for not many.
Yeah. And,
9 for a few in the second innings.
A little bit. And obviously Jofra Archer in the first innings took 6.
Jofra Archer for England, definitely. Taking six wickets in his second Test match. Gee, that was a bit of a tongue twister, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That nearly went very wrong. He's done well, and he's obviously brought a bit of X factor to England's bowling. And obviously, with the news now that James Anderson is out for the rest of the series, that makes selection a little bit easier in a way, doesn't it? There's no tough call to make.
Exactly. I would think we were talking about that in the last podcast. Who would you leave out if Anderson was fit? We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Gives Wikes a reprieve, I think. So
Yeah.
How do you think Australia, like the batting lineup, are feeling about that? Would they rather potentially have Anderson to play against? Getting on a little bit.
Maybe.
He's dangerous in
well,
England.
maybe,
though.
but still, like his record in England is phenomenal. You get the right conditions, and he's gonna turn around corners. And so I don't. They're slightly relieved that they don't have to face Anderson, but
it means that
they're not relieved that they still have to face.
Well,
Archer would have stayed.
He's not going anywhere for a while.
I guess the only concern for England is if we lose Stuart Broad or Archer or Wokes to injury, who do we bring in to replace? Now, I'm quite happy that they've caught up Craig Overton, a former opponent of mine, into the England squad to Yeah, former opponent.
Opponent.
Yeah, Devonlea cricket is still alive and strong. I would quite like to see his twin brother Jamie. I've mentioned before that Jamie's actually quicker than Craig. Craig played in the last Ashes series over here and did not disgrace himself by any stretch of the imagination.
I think they're obviously just hoping that and obviously the bowling's fit and they're going to keep going with those guys.
I think they need to stick with the Kiwi theme and bring back Caddick. It's working.
It's working. A foreigner,
He flies helicopters, did you know that?
Does he?
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so we get bowled out for 167, but then 179, but then we bowl England out for 67.
Welcome back, Josh Hazlewood.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one because now you'd think off the back of his 9 wickets, he's sealed his spot.
Well, he has to.
He's got this roundabout of fast bowlers, and it's not really.
I'm not sure.
It's not really letting us down, except you could say for that last innings.
I don't know if it's. I'm not sure if it's how well it's working. To be fair.
Well, I reckon it's working all right because we rolled them for 67.
True, but yeah,
we should have done better. We should have done better. We should have won that last test.
So you look at the bloke. So in the first innings, we're rolling for 67. Who took the wickets? Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins.
Well, yeah, and Pattinson got a couple in there as well.
Guys that are, and Pattinson got a couple in there, but guys that are in there all the time. If you put Mitch Stark in there, I'm thinking we're still rolling them for 67.
Yeah. The point is that if Ben Stokes hadn't played that godly innings, none of us would be talking about questions over your bowling right now.
Correct.
I think though, given the match that they just played, where Mitchell Stark came in and took some wickets, and given that there was that ending where we all know that Mitchell Stark has this propensity to clean up the tail, he has to come into the equation now.
And Ben Stokes, we saw it in the World Cup.
Yeah,
when Ben Stokes was batting, he was on 80 odd and he yorked him. So
how good's a Yorker? I'm saying it for ages.
How good's a Yorker? Yeah.
So one would almost imagine that Stark's name is really being pushed forward. Are we just back to where we started with Cummins, Hazlewood, and Stark back into the lineup now?
I'm sorry, Charlie, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there's a little bit of horses for courses about the Australian bowling selections throughout the whole series, and I don't think that'll be any different at Old Trafford, which historically has had a bit of pace and bounce as well as turn. So Nathan Lyon will be dangerous towards the back end of the match at Old Trafford. There is pace and bounce, so you would want to exploit that. And I think Mitchell Stark would be, well in the running. They said he's going to play a part in the series at some point. Well, why wait to the Oval?
Well, yeah, you better hurry up because it might be over and done with by then. So we're talking. So there is a bit of momentum for Stark to come back in. On the back of that, they're also talking about that. Well, he's he can be a bit expensive. So we're going to need another. We're going to need another bowler. If Mitch is he's not bowling that well, he's going for a few runs, and obviously we've only got 3 bowlers to fall back on. We're going to need an all rounder, which brings up the name of Marsh back into the Australian team.
If Stark's going to be a little expensive, that just means that in the first innings we get bowled out for 80 instead of 67.
Yes, so but so obviously there is now talk that Mitch Marsh needs to come into the team because then we have another bowler, and maybe strengthens the batting lineup. I say maybe with a hesitancy.
Isn't Stark enough of an all rounder? He can bat.
He can, but he's obviously not as consistent. But I don't think their averages are too far apart. To be fair. So that means, so then...
Well, everyone deserves a 54th chance, I think. So,
could almost get it right by then, you would have thought. Yeah.
Very good.
I don't necessarily agree with bringing Mitch in. Like I said, how many chances does one bloke get?
I'd like to walk around the streets and ask how many people do. I don't think you'd have
that'd be zero.
Look, he's a great cricketer, but he's had a lot of opportunities. And is he really, I just don't quite get it.
Well, I don't think he quite gets it. That's a problem. I don't think he's quite good enough. Now I understand where we get the all-rounder fascination from.
Yep.
Because England historically have been very good at producing them, both from Flintoff, Stokes. Mm-hmm. So you look at Ben Stokes and what he's been able to do, not just with the bat but also with the ball as well. I understand where the all-rounder fascination comes in. If you've got a good one, it's fantastic because you get batting and bowling at the same level. We haven't quite been able to produce that batting bowling all rounder as well as.
I don't think historically Australia have needed to.
Well, yes, we haven't sort of needed. I don't think we've produced probably a really great all rounder since Keith Miller.
Well,
Richie Beno.
keep in mind that our bowlers tend to knock up some pretty handy runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they do their job, and our batters traditionally have set up some pretty good
We've
scores
traditionally had a
over the
very,
last-
very strong top 7.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously now we maybe don't traditionally have a very strong
Can
top
I just
7.
say something? When you've got Adam Gilchrist coming at number 7, you don't need a...
No.
That's your all-rounder, isn't it?
That's-
Wicket-keeper batsman.
And that does pose the question at the moment.
There obviously is there is starting to be a bit of question on Tim Payne and his runs output. I don't think there's anything with his wicket keeping.
Yeah.
His wicket keeping is still of the highest quality, but runs at 7. We're not getting those runs at 7.
There's questions over not just his runs, his captaincy as well.
Look, I don't know if his captaincy has been that bad. To be fair, I think it's been pretty good. To be honest, I think it's been okay. Okay, look,
In hindsight, probably could have been a bit better at the end there, but we've got to, as the public, as the cricket-loving public, as the Australian cricket team-loving public, we've got to take into account that was some serious high-pressure cricket, and stuff happens.
Yeah.
I've played some reasonable cricket, and stuff changes under pressure
very quickly, and
we've got to take that into account, even with the umpiring.
We're playing where there's no crowd. There's there's nothing really on the line except for pride, essentially.
Yep.
And you still feel the pressure. We also, only played generally 2-day cricket or 1-day cricket, not 4-day cricket. It wasn't the 4th day of a test match, where, the Edgbaston crowd on day 4 from ball 1 was just with it.
Edgbaston was.
Roaring for singles.
And what about Headingley? The crowd at Headingley.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Headingley, sorry, I should say. Yeah.
Well, Edgbaston crowd is always good, and it's always good fun.
I should say, sorry, so at Headingley, they were just on it, and they were, I think they were one of the reasons why England just got pushed along by the support.
That happens wherever you are. That home support can be your 12th man.
Yeah.
You see it in India, that pressure cooker environment when you got 100,000 people at the stadium whose name I can't pronounce, the Tendulkar's home ground. Wankhede or something, isn't it? Yeah, that's the one. When you think of the pressure cooker environment there, 100,000 people.
Yeah.
MCG Boxing Day against Australia, you're going to feel that pressure.
So, all right, well, let's take a step back and look at it from the outside in. Hamish, you've been a captain. If you were in that situation, would you have sort of spread the field as much for Ben Stokes? Would you have still tried to attack him? Would you have?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Look, I think they tried to get him off strike, but he managed it so well. Let's also give credit where it's due. But they probably could have done a little bit better. There were a couple of times there where, and this can't be attributed completely to Tim Payne, but even there was a catch, I think, just snuck over Labuschagne's hands. I felt that he was like 2 metres in from the rope there.
Yeah.
In those situations, when a guy is just clearing, like there were a couple of sixes that just cleared.
Yep.
And he was just doing enough. But you've got to be on the rope.
I think there's that. Are you talking about the one when there was 8 to win and he hit a 6 and it got it down to 2 to win?
Probably.
And I think Ponting said it burst through his hands or something like that. Yeah. I took a look at that one a bit closer last night just because he said it burst through his hands, and I'm looking at it and going, oh yeah, maybe he did get a touch to it.
I don't think he did.
Even if he did, it was the merest of touches. But if he had got his hands around it and caught it, he landed on the rope.
Yeah.
It would have been 6 anyway. Don't get me wrong, it was bloody close.
Yeah.
But like Hamish said, like if he was on the rope,
then you're not travelling back.
Yeah, could he have? They're very good at catching and balancing and popping it back up to themselves and things like that. So,
but I think then at the same time, and this is where it comes down to the pressure of the whole situation, you have the other catch where he needed to be in.
Yeah.
Look, it's very easy from this side of the fence, but they obviously got a few things wrong, and I thought perhaps they could have managed things a little better.
Yeah.
Given
obviously, in hindsight, yes.
Hey, have you got your Slack open right now? Is it muted?
No, I've got it.
No, mine's open.
So, just while you guys are chatting, the cricket.com.au has posted the Australian squad for the 4th test, and I'm going to send that link over to you now.
Let's discuss.
So
breaking news.
Breaking news.
So while that comes through,
And the news is Khawaja out, Stark in as Aussie's name, 4th Test squad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mitch Marsh.
I don't think
Let's
so.
have a look. So obviously means Stark's in that. Means Harris. That obviously means Harris stays.
Australian 12. Well, let's go through the 12. So David Warner up top, Marcus Harris, Marnus Labuschagne, Steve Smith, Travis Head, Matt Wade, Tim Payne, Pat Cummins, Peter Siddle, Mitchell Stark, Nathan Lyon, Josh Hazelwood. So Khawaja's just been absolutely
dropped.
Yeah, let go.
Okay, so does that surprise you two guys?
Not really.
Writing's been on the wall, hasn't it?
Not really. I mean, he's had plenty. I mean, he's had opportunities to score some runs. We needed him to score some runs. Again, he's a one of the more experienced players in the team. He needed to get some runs. He's sort of sometimes look good and sort of maybe got to 40, but then he's gotten out. So I'm not completely surprised with that. So. If I'm picking the team, I'm hoping that Peter Siddle is 12th man. No offence to Peter, but look, if England's picking Joffre Archer and they're going with an X factor and they're going with pace, then I don't see why we need to pick a bloke that bowls at 130.
Yeah. Now that Hazelwood is
no Pattinson either. Sorry.
Yep.
Well, okay. So the thing that they why isn't James playing? He basically can't play 2 tests in a row. Yeah. He has a metal rod in his back, so he generally can't play back-to-back test matches.
Yeah, but I think no one's going to complain that we've got the old firm back together for this test match in Cummins, Stark, and Hazelwood.
Yeah.
Let them do their job now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure Stark is raring to go.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, he'll be fresh.
You've only got. I mean, so you look at it. We go back to another left armour that sometimes was a bit wayward and had his issues in Mitchell Johnson,
the one that bowled to the left and the right.
But then you just use him. You can use him in shorter bursts. He doesn't have to bowl 8 over spells.
Yeah,
5 or 6.
Are we in a situation? Are we in a situation where if Australia win the next Test match or win the next 2 Test matches, and if let's say they do it fairly comfortably off the back of the bowling, do we call it a masterstroke? Given that they dropped Hazelwood, he came back in, and took 9 wickets.
Yes.
So there's 2 ways of looking at it. Okay, no, we rested him, or no, I'm not going to say rested. I'm going to say we just sort of made him take a look at things and himself, and he's fired up and he's come back and taken 9 wickets. Is it the little dropping where you're just sort of giving a little bit of a...
He took wickets in the second test as well. He came back in for the second test at Lords and took some wickets as well.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Just sit out and just sort of... just a little bit of a tap on the shoulder and...
I wouldn't call it a masterstroke purely because your strength in depth with your fast bowling stock is, pretty noticeable. It doesn't really matter which of those 5 guys that you pick.
Yeah.
You're going to be strong no matter what. If there's going to be any masterstroke, it's picking your batsmen that are in form and are actually going to score you some runs. Yeah. Now, Labuschagne looks like a great pick, and you get him staying there and Steve Smith coming back in.
Yep.
Suddenly it's a much, much harder team for England to bowl out.
Yep. I just think, if you're the Australian selectors or the Australian coach and you think these guys are great, but I think they could be better and I don't think we're getting the best out of them, how do we manage that? Well, let's manage it. Let's give them a bit of tough love. Let them get their hunger back by having to sit there and watch these, and then they come back and
possibly. But I think Josh was ready to go for the first test. I mean, they dropped him. They dropped him for the World Cup. They didn't pick him for the World Cup, which I think would have hurt him.
Yeah,
he wanted to play in the World Cup. I think he was ready to go for the test matches.
Yep.
And he comes back in with the second and the third, and he's proven that.
Yep.
On the flip side, then, obviously he's got 9 wickets at Headingley. He's bowled excellently in the first innings, and not too badly, let's face it, in the second innings.
Yeah.
But when he came under attack from Ben Stokes, that's when I felt he was found wanting. And
I think they were all found wanting.
Well, they were all found wanting, but that one particular over where Stokes went 4, 6, 6, 2, 1 dot or whatever it was.
He did that to other. I mean, there was nowhere.
I'm not sure
you could bowl.
I'm not sure. Well, no, you're right. There probably were places to bowl, but again, it's making that decision in that time when you get it, when you're under that extreme pressure. Yeah. I'm sure, mate. Stokesy would have taken Warney apart. I think on that day.
Absolutely.
You just get into. he just gets into that zone where he just...
Stokes was on fire. My point was more that, okay, when the batsmen are coming after him, that's where Hazelwood is perhaps found a little bit wanting, and that's maybe why he was left out of the World Cup squad.
That could be true, yeah.
The one Yorker he did try and bowl ended up as a low full toss, which Stokes put over square leg for 6. So the margin for error is tiny in that level of cricket, and I understand that Stokes was just on fire and he was playing a blinder of an innings.
Yeah.
But we've already spoken about how Stark got his Yorker in at the World Cup and cleaned Stokes up easily. Yeah. Well, not easily, but he cleaned him up. Yeah. It's a hell of a weapon to have. Or it sounds easy, but all you got to do is hit your Yorkers. And in that situation, he decided to respond to that attempted Yorker, which went for 6, with a length ball, which went for 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Josh's strength is his line and length.
Absolutely.
So, there may be an argument. Yes, he's kind of predictable, and maybe you can get after him. But his 9 wickets for the match is probably proves that maybe that's not always the case. You get an exceptional innings from an exceptional cricketer.
Exactly. If you think about it, when you roll a team for 67. That should be enough to win any test matches. And I asked maybe the viewers out there to give us some examples of when a test team have been rolled for under 100 and have managed to come back and win the game. England have done it twice this year alone.
It was back in like 1800s or something. I think it was way back. So
yeah, I think
unbelievable statistic, given that England are one of the top test-playing nations at the moment. That in 2019, we're in 2019 at the moment.
I believe so,
I do like to live in the past a bit, but anyway. England have been rolled for under 100 4 times.
They can get out in a session. They do like doing that,
but have managed to win 2 of those games.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Ireland wrestled them for
we did
80-odd and still won the test match.
Yeah, we were
for 36 in the second
innings.
innings.
We were responded by bowling out for 35. Yeah. I actually asked on at the time of the win, because I stayed up till stupid o'clock in the morning, even though I had a flight to Brisbane at stupid o'clock in the morning. What's the lowest total that anyone's been bowled out for and still won?
60.
And it says 60. Australia at 60. Lords in the 1800s.
Yeah.
You'd have to go back to
that's a long way.
Cricket was a much different game back in those days.
I don't know if it was the 1800s or early 1900s. I don't know if my mate got that a bit wrong.
No, I think it was. Yeah, it was.
It might have been. Okay,
well, 1800s.
A completely different game, timeless test, uncovered pitches, and all of that.
Is this
now?
Yep.
No, go on.
Is this the most times a test playing nation has been bowled out 100 for under 100 in a calendar year?
Possibly, and that's... I don't want to be a sort of I told you so thing, but when we were talking about predictions for this series, don't give me that face, Nick. Producer Nick in the corner there. Hang on, no.
The only way you preface something you're about to say, I told you so, is I don't want to say I told you so, but
I told you so.
But I did tell you so. Exactly. When we're talking about... I did say predictions for this series, I said England are the kind of team that can bring a 50 all out or something like that from nowhere.
And you did.
And we did. And Nick's laughing over there. Now, we've gone from a tradition of forgetting you at the start of each show to saying hi to your whole family on every show. So you be nice over there.
You're going to forget him from now on? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm going over to his home country in a few weeks.
Oh, that's true.
Right, so we'll...
sorry, segue.
That's okay. So back to the fourth.
Jeez, you get around.
Yeah. Back to the fourth test. England have stuck with the same team, but they have made a batting lineup change.
They certainly have, and I think it's a good one. Joe Denley confirms that he will swap with Jason Roy. Joe Denley will now open. Jason Roy will come in at 4. And I think that's a great move.
Do you just not have any other batsman you can't drop Jason Roy?
That's a possibility.
Surely there's somebody making runs in county cricket that could come in that bats better than Jason Roy. He's currently averaging 9.
Well, while you two discuss that fact, I'll look up the county cricket stats and see who the leading run scorer is.
I know Ollie Pope scored a double ton the other day. There's one.
Get him in.
Why not? I mean, how often? So we're dropping Khawaja, who's probably averaging about 15 or 20 for the series, and they're going to keep a bloke and who's averaging 9. Is he going to be any better at 4 than he is opening the batting?
I think so.
He's probably more comfortable.
New ball.
Opening, because he gets to do that a bit.
Yeah.
I know it's Test cricket, but look, I like the fact that they're showing him a little bit of faith. That's probably good for his own confidence. And they obviously think very highly of him, and any time you have a situation like that, you usually get rewarded. So who knows? He could be one innings away from really doing something damaging to Australia.
Yeah.
You're not obviously expecting that.
I'm probably not as much because obviously, I mean, I know what he can do. We all know what he can do in one-day cricket.
You know, there's a saying, never knock a champion. He's obviously not into that category yet.
But
they obviously have high raps on him.
Yeah. I'm just not sure whether or not he's shown anything that would change from opening the batting to batting at 4. Yes, I understand that that he won't necessarily be facing the new ball, but I mean, he's only a couple of early wickets away, and he's coming in facing a fairly new ball. So if that's going to make a great deal of difference, I don't know.
Well, look, let's look at what England have had to deal with in regards to opening batters over the last few years. There's not been a lot of joy there.
No.
Let's face facts.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I mean, obviously they have gone through some opening batsmen since
some combos
since Cook's retired, trying to find people to open the batting.
Yeah,
I sort of struggled. So
that's the problem.
But even alongside Cook,
they were struggling since Strauss retired. Yeah.
Since Strauss retired in 2012, we've not really had a what you could call steady opening partnership. I mean, the first name that would probably come to mind to go back in there would have been Keaton Jennings. But he, might have been susceptible to a lot of the Australian bowling as well.
What do you reckon? Should just chuck an Overton in?
Why not? Just get Jamie up there.
Well, the irony is that Craig was always the batsman when we played.
So we'll stick him up there.
Yeah,
they can bat then. Just put him in.
Yeah, why not?
Just put him in.
Just a name drop there. Clang.
Yeah. You need to disclose that you are president of the Overton fan club.
Hang on.
Hang on, what?
Leading run scorer in County Cricket Division 2, one Marnus Labuschagne. Now, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Labuschagne.
No,
They did a video. They put out a video.
I think it's actually Labuschagne or something like that.
I thought it was just Labuschagne,
the sort of the South African,
like that. That's what I thought.
Well, we like to in Australia. We like to just make things as easy as possible.
So
you call him like Labo or something.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
Careful.
So, it's not the pronunciation. The proper pronunciation, I don't think, is Labuschagne, but he's happy to go with that because it's just easier.
It is an interesting one. Who's at the top of the pops there? Alex Carey.
Alex Carey.
Get him in
Division 2. Yeah.
Get him in there.
Well, he played in the. He did play in the.
That's in average
in the warm up game. He's only played one game. He's only played one county game.
Hamish Rutherford, 1 innings, 123. Yeah, right.
Just get 1 and 100. So yeah, that's interesting. Now, obviously, another controversial thing out of the Test match was the umpiring, and also maybe the Australians' use of the DRS.
Yeah, now, a couple of shows ago we had Simon Talfel on, so we've got a little bit more of an understanding of how that sort of process happens. So it has been a bit surprising this series to see the number of mistakes. I mean, we all highlighted it in the first test, which ironically was the show immediately after Simon. Yes. It would have been good to have Simon,
wouldn't it,
after that test and get his take on that. Maybe you can come back, Simon.
That'd be lovely.
Or maybe you can write in. I mean, everyone's going to focus on that one decision towards the end. Now, I've written a blog post where I say, yes, it was the wrong decision, but it was also the right one. In that the first rule of umpiring is, if in doubt, it's not out. Now, you can argue all you want that it was obvious, it's stone dead, it's cold, it's in front, it should have been given. And I agree, it should have been given.
Yeah.
But if there is that tiniest element of doubt in Joel Wilson's mind, rightly or wrongly, he gives it not out. Now, I've heard Glenn McGrath and other people say, well, England had a review and Australia didn't, so why not give it and then let technology decide? Well,
why not?
If it's umpire's call and he's guessing, if you're going to start giving decisions based on which team has a review left, that's not good.
Well, I don't know. Some people might argue that he guessed a lot of decisions.
Yeah. Isn't that the modern game? Because we're not playing the era of cricket where we're not using technology. We now have technology at our disposal. So in a situation like that where basically a test match and a series is going to potentially be decided by that one decision, use technology.
Yeah, now, I don't know if Nick might be able to transpose this in, but I took a photo last night, which I'll show you guys now, of the screen, because I watched it again, because, I'm English. And this is the LBW decision in question, and that's the freeze frame of the moment of impact on the front pad. Now, unless my eyes deceive me...
It's hitting him in the head.
Careful. yeah, might have hit him in the head. Unless my eyes deceive me, where the ball pitches...
Yeah. Which is
to where it hits him in the front pad, it actually goes further.
Middle leg.
Yeah, it goes further down leg side to where it hits the pad.
Yeah.
But then the tracking, the predictive bit, goes slightly back towards middle stump.
As it turning.
So if
He's
the ball's
he's an off spinner, right?
Yeah, but it's in the air. He's not going to spin it off the air.
He can do much.
I know he's allegedly the GOAT, but he's not that magic.
Yeah.
But my point being that, yes, okay, that ball tracking there shows it to be out. And the likelihood would be that ball is still going on to hit leg stump. But I don't think it's hitting middle and leg.
No.
So I'll put it out there again. I do think the decision should have been out. But I'm obviously, from an English point of view, not quite as disappointed with the not out decision as the rest of you.
Yeah, look, I don't think that's the thing in question. The thing in question here from a lot of people is, the umpire's place and the use of doubt and all that sort of stuff, and the use of referrals and stuff like that. He shouldn't have taken the referral into mind. Well, I think the modern day umpire actually should have that awareness that if he needs to, he can make a decision knowing that there is a referral system and the right decision can be made.
Okay, so then if we look at this, I heard Mark Taylor on the weekend talk about this, and I probably agree with him that the players shouldn't have reviews. So they shouldn't be involved in the umpiring. They shouldn't be involved in the umpiring of the game.
Yeah.
Because it's a tactic. So we go back to obviously the reason why Australia didn't have a review to review that one is because they used it the over before. Yeah. When Cummins hit Leach on the pad, yes, look, it clearly pitched that side leg stump, but the guys can't see the future, so they just thought, look, well, let's just have a look and just see. Maybe we were wrong. We might have got lucky. Might have hit him on the full.
It was a Hail Mary,
right?
Wasn't it?
So,
well, they were presuming that there was not going to be another opportunity.
Exactly, right.
Wrong decision. Yeah, but I can understand that.
So, and look, and then again, Nathan Lyon doesn't fumble the ball, takes the run out. He doesn't hit Ben Stokes on the pad. We've won the game. It makes no difference. You can't, you can't sort of predict the future. So if you take those opportunities out of the game, but then so you leave it with the umpire, and so then if the umpire does have doubt, but he thinks it might be out, does he then have the review and say, look, he then goes to the third umpire and says, look, I think this might be out. Soft signal. I know this goes into bunker rugby league territory, which is probably not great, but does that give us the opportunity where we still get the right decision made?
I think it's a great point, and I think it might be the way that it goes.
Because originally the review system was brought in for the howler. So when you've smashed one on your front pad and you give it out LBW, when you get caught back pad and it's come straight off your pad, when you're clearly not out, goes, mate, that's not out. I haven't, and it gets done. Now players are now using it as a almost a tactic, almost trying to get a wicket. So when you get a fine inside edge, and that's it. And no one can hear it, but you still go up and you get one. It just hits the stumps and you get one. It's not really. They're not really using them for its intended purpose.
They're not using them for the intended purpose, and that's half the problem. And if you go too far towards technology, eventually you're going to negate the need to have anyone standing out there.
Yeah.
Which basically then makes a difference between the game at the elite level and the game at grassroots level.
Correct.
Because you're not going to have this technology playing for Georges River or Macquarie Uni. Now, the other thing is that if we're going to bring technology into the game more and more, why isn't the third umpire who's sitting up there in the TV box and has access to a replay in point that of a second, not looking every single ball to see where the bowler's front foot is landing? Take that pressure off the on-field umpires. Now, the reason I say that is because I noticed at least 5, I think it was Pat Cummins, no balls that were not given.
I think they're moving towards that. Either I don't know whether the third umpire is going to do it or try and put some technology in.
Yeah. Now the reason I bring that up is because the biggest criticism that I've heard of this umpiring decision that he's given not out and it should have been given out and Australia would have won is that they're ignoring some of the other decisions that came before that meant the game would have been over by that point anyway, such as these no balls, such as the wide that Nathan Lyon bowled that wasn't given.
Yeah.
That scores would have been level. So how far back do you want to go about the wrong umpiring decisions?
Yeah.
It's been a part of the game since forever. The umpire's decision is final, whether you agree with it or not. It happened, and I really quite appreciated Tim Payne after the match saying, I think Jonathan Agnew on Test Match Special tried to ask him about it, and he said it's irrelevant, he gave it not out, it's not out, game's over.
Yeah.
Didn't want a bar of it. Didn't want to criticise the umpires.
Because you look at
he doesn't want to be considered a whinging
Well, you
Australian
go back 20 years and there's no reviews, and he gives it not out. It's still not out.
Yeah, and he actually said in a quote, "I certainly have a different appreciation for umpires now because we get them as wrong as they do at times." And he's referring to his own decision to send that review.
That's a really nice way of putting it.
Because, I mean, that's obviously the thing now. So if the players are involved in making the decision, they've got it. They're trying to look at it as an umpire, and they're not focusing on where the ball pitched, where it hit, because they're trying to execute their cricketing skills.
Yeah.
So
I got to say, I kind of like the fact that the players have to make those decisions. It's a part of the fact that they're playing a sport, they're playing a game, and they are a part of the decision making in regards to what they choose to review or not. And we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it if they didn't have that option.
But wouldn't we prefer to not talk about that?
Yeah,
No, but it's a sport. They have to try.
I understand.
We're almost taking their skills away from them.
But wouldn't we rather talk? We're not taking their skills away from them because they're not umpires.
Yeah,
they're there to play the game.
Yeah, but they're there to captain the game. They're there to make decisions.
And side effect of that.
That's it. Well, see, that's the other thing in terms of like Tim Payne getting criticised, right? So not only does he have to be a world class wicketkeeper, but then he's got to make the bowling changes at the right time. He's got to set the field, and then he's also got to be an umpire.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
The side effect of having the review system in place there, and the fact that they are going to use technology. And one thing I really like, I think that what you were saying was just sort of leading towards it, is that it's kind of taken the excessive appealing out of the game. In that, okay, well, if this is going to go upstairs, and we're appealing for something that we know is not out, we're going to get made to look like a bunch of idiots.
Yes.
So it's taken that out of it, because the one thing I used to hate was excessive appealing when, he's missed it by a foot, but I'm still going to ask you, how was that anyway?
Yeah, because you're trying to put pressure on the umpire.
Pressure on the umpire, because after 2 or 3 big calls, you're bound to get the third or fourth one. Yeah. Every bowler and fielding team knows that, so they milk it. So, and that is, I got to say, one aspect of cricket that I really didn't like. Is that teams out there do put unnecessary pressure on an umpire to try and get that wicket, even if it's not out.
So coming into the fourth test, how can Australia come back from the third test? How?
I guess the simple answer is pick Steve Smith, and they're gonna.
Well, they're gonna pick, I think it's more. I mean, it's more than that. It can't just be him. He does need help. But how do you mentally get over that?
You just don't look back.
Yeah.
You just focus on the next game. Mm-hmm. You work on your plans.
Yep.
And you focus on that.
Do you think it was good that we had a game in between where we could go out and okay, look, Derby wasn't the strongest opposition, but we could just go out and we could just play and we could we did beat them by an innings.
Well, I think
in a 3-day game. Do you think that would be helpful for a lot of players?
Don't knock Derbyshire, mate.
No, but I'm just.
I think it allowed us to get the selection thing right.
Yeah.
Obviously, Stark came in, took some wickets, and that gave him the little clearance to be selected now. And obviously, we wanted to check a few things in regards to batting. It probably saved Marcus Harris in that he got a score there, and so probably a little bit of confidence back into the group.
Yeah, I noticed that Steve Waugh has come back. He missed that last test. He's in as a mentor for the Australian team, and he was there for the first two.
Who dropped him for the third test?
Well, no, he had prior commitments and had to go home, but he's back.
Yeah.
There it is. How crucial do you think having someone like him around the dressing room is going to be?
Well, I'm predicting a win to the Australians in the fourth test. That's how crucial.
There you go.
Well, yeah,
Stephen Roger Waugh, my friend.
Stephen Roger Waugh, that's right.
Umpiring decisions and controversies aside, we actually all got it right. We all said England would win that test, but none of us would have thought it would have been in that fashion.
Not in that fashion. No, I didn't. No.
Did you predict?
Yeah.
England.
That's
surprising.
You did.
Yeah, I thought they were.
I hated myself for it.
Yeah, because there was no Steve Smith. We thought that England were a big chance, and we were proven right thanks to Ben Stokes. Otherwise, we all would have been proven wrong.
Yeah.
Over a couple of things. All right. Well, then, so fourth test. What are we predicting this time?
Just said
Hamish is going with Australia.
We'll go back.
Charlie,
back
I noticed you're wearing a. I think we can see where your allegiances lie.
Well, I think that's been abundantly clear since we started the podcast, really.
Oh, really?
Since you started speaking with an English accent.
Well, allegedly, I have an Australian accent, according to the people back in England, but hey, what do you do? I'm wearing this in celebration more than expectation, because I still have a gut feeling that Australia will...
You don't think you're just going to just wave that ride of emotion and momentum and steamroll through?
Being English, you grow up pessimistic, you know.
Yes.
I've said before, we crave disappointment.
What about this one? As a little side point to it, we haven't really spoken a lot about Joe Root and the fact that he bounced back in that last innings.
Yes.
And that played its part. Now, he could be a slightly different player in Test 4 and 5 now that he's got a decent score under his belt.
He could. Yeah. The only thing that's weighing on my mind really is that Australia only have to win one of the games, which is such a parallel to the 2005 series, it's not funny. And I predicted that series would be 2-2. England would play the better cricket, but the Ashes would go back to Australia. And we've had Headingley on, and compare that to Edgbaston 2005. I've got a feeling that this might end as a draw, this game, and it will go down to the Oval, and then that will depend on the toss.
Right.
That I honestly can't call it. If I had to go either way, I'd probably go Australia.
Well,
but I hate myself for saying that.
You're not predicting a draw due to the batting. Are you thinking weather will play its part?
Yeah, no, it's Manchester.
Yep.
Hey?
Is it due to rain again? Have you looked at
I haven't looked at a forecast, but having got family...
But it's Manchester.
Got family at 20 minutes from Manchester, and having spent more time at Manchester Airport than I care to remember, I can't remember last time I saw a clear day in that part of the world.
Fair enough.
So,
speaking of the possibility of a draw, I noticed I got an interesting listener comment from YouTube. I sent that to you on Slack if you want to check that one out. It's an interesting question.
What's it say?
If the Ashes series ended in a drawn series and Australia retained the urn, would you consider that a successful conclusion to the summer for Australia, or ultimately would still not winning a series in England since 2001 be considered unacceptable to the Australian public overall? From Scott M. And I think Scott M wrote in last week as well.
He did.
So thank you, Scott. Keep writing in.
Scott M's English?
Yes, he is.
Could be. That is an interesting question.
It is.
Good
question.
I'm kind of thinking that it might be successful in the fact that obviously we've retained the Ashes, so we've still got them. Yes, it would mean that we still wouldn't have won in England since 2001, but obviously we've been losing all those series. I don't think we've drawn a series. We've been losing them, so it's obviously a step in the right direction that we could could draw it. Maybe that's being slightly optimistic. Looking on the positive side.
England would love a drawn series over here, just quietly.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if it meant we took the urn home.
And that's the big point, is that England are the higher rated team at the moment.
No.
Test rankings?
No, we are. I think we're higher than England.
Hang on.
Well, we can check that one.
Yeah.
I thought England were...
No, I think we're higher than they are.
Although they have been rolled for under 104 times this year, so
I think
maybe...
I think it was something like we were fourth and they were fifth or something. So.
Ooh, England,
no,
other way around.
There you go, it's the other way around.
Oh,
there
thank you.
There you go. Well done, Hamish.
Thank you. All right.
Well done, good work.
Right. To draw a series against a higher ranked team on their home soil and take home the trophy would probably be pretty pleasing for them.
Considering that we have lost all those series beforehand.
Yep.
And some pretty comprehensively, so I think drawing would be helpful.
But they would obviously prefer to.
They're not necessarily going to come home and say, it's a raging success. We want to win. We want to win the series.
Yeah.
We want to win it. So, I'm predicting that Australia will win the fourth Test match.
Yep.
And I don't know by how many. Hopefully, maybe it's not as close
I wish
as the last one.
I wish you did know by how.
Well, yeah,
because
I put some. I know I put some money down. I would put some money down. But obviously, let us know what you think.
I've got a question for you guys. Who will be the man of the match?
Mitchell Starc.
At Old Trafford.
Well, yes, because that's where they're playing.
Oh, I'm going to go... Well, I didn't know if you... Yeah. I'm going to go left field, something that's probably got odds of 500 to 1, just because that's how England are going at the moment. I'm going to say Jason Roy.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, could be. Yeah, could be.
I'm going to say Stephen Roger Waugh.
Stephen Roger Waugh is going to get
he's back in the sheds with the boys. That changes everything.
Yeah, by the way, his nickname, I love his nickname, Tugger. I think that's brilliant. Tugger War.
Marks was better.
Afghanistan.
The Forgotten War.
The Forgotten War.
Or they discovered
Junior.
Junior.
Discovered Junior. Okay, yes, obviously let us know your predictions for the test match, player of the match. I'm going to try and read. Shall I try and read the socials, Charlie? Or
go for it.
No, maybe. No, you're much better at it than I am.
I'll train you. No, I'm joking.
You have to do it.
Okay, you can write to us. Use that hashtag KSC podcast. You can get to us on Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports, and Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport. Not plural. They can't handle it. We are available on YouTube. You're watching us now, hopefully. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or KSCpodcast.com is where you're listening to us. I don't think I've missed any. Nick, you say you can get it on the RSS feed.
Yep, so a lot of podcast platforms, you put in a link that it'll populate with whatever podcast you choose. So the RSS feed will be in the link of the YouTube description, and you can add that to whatever podcast platform you're listening to.
Why aren't we on MySpace?
Is there anyone anymore?
Yeah, there it is.
Is the guy who created MySpace on MySpace anymore?
Not. He's the only one. He's only just hoping that someone will come back. All right. I think that's it, boys. I think we're done. I think we're ready to rock and roll.
I think we're excited.
I think we're excited for the
Bring it on.
test match.
I've got to fly, literally.
Okay. So does Hamish.
See you later.
But not literally. We'll catch you next time on the Kingsgrove Sports Centre podcast.
Thanks, Nicky.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.